And that brings us to our game of the week. The number 14 BYU Cougars hit the road to take on the number 21 Arizona State. And I wanted to say Wildcats, but that's Arizona. The Arizona State Sun Devils. 3:30 p.m. kickoff on ESPN. Arizona State currently favored in this one by 3 points in Mountain America Stadium in Tempe, Arizona. And let me just say before we get into this game, Brad, I said it a couple weeks ago. Shame on you, College Game Day. Shame on you. I get it, Ohio State, Indiana, but you want to talk about a fan base and a party city and a crowd that's going to get up for game day and be electric and exciting. These Sun Devil fans have been waiting for years to be this good again, Brad. And here we stand. If they win Saturday afternoon against BYU, they could be getting themselves a spot in the Big 12 championship game. And I think prior to the season starting, no one expected these two teams to be in the running for the Big 12 championship game. Now Saturday comes down to this. Turn over to you, Brad. No pressure, but who comes out on top in this one? We know the BYU fans are a little bit one-sided towards you. We've heard some comments in the past. Are you going to stick with BYU and get on their good side, or are you going to disappoint them again?
I'll get to that in a second, man. No, you hit the nail on the head. This is a huge game, a game that has Big 12 championship implications, possibly playoff implications. Nate, man, you said it perfectly. So, hats off to these two teams and these two coaching staffs, and these two rosters. If you looked at preseason, magazines, articles, predictions, these two teams were in the bottom 4 or 5 expected in the Big 12, and here we are, BYU at 9-1, tied in the lead for Colorado, and then Arizona State sitting at 8-2. These two teams, what a job they've done, and these coaching staffs, hats off to them, man. They've done a great job. I want to start off with my guy, Kenny Dillingham, one of my favorite coaches in college football. He's coaching his alma mater. He is doing a fantastic job. Coach Dillingham, I always enjoy seeing your interviews and just bring such energy and passion, and it's just really, really got Arizona State in such a good place. Nate, we were talking about, could he be up for some bigger jobs? I think it's definitely possible. I mean, we're talking about Arizona State. Herm Edwards, struggled with that program. They were on sanctions last year, and look at the job they've done this year, man. Just unbelievable. I think his name's absolutely going to be floated around, but I think he's so happy at his alma mater there in Tempe. I think he's going to stay. Jumping over to BYU, and as Nate said, I've made some BYU fans upset. No, y'all have been very, very kind in the comments, and hey, I love the passion that you guys have for your program. I'll be honest, I don't trust BYU right now. I think that they've won some close games. I will say they have ups. I mean, I think about early in the season the dominating. I mean, they upset SMU, the dominating win over Kansas State, but struggled to beat Baylor, struggled to beat Oklahoma State. Struggled to beat Utah, and then what happens? It caught up with them and lost to Kansas, and I think Kansas is better than their record shows. But bottom line, BYU is undefeated, and you lost to a Kansas team that was I believe 3-6 last week. So, Nate, I don't trust BYU right now, and that's nothing against them. They've got a good team, but I just think they were getting close to the fire, and they got burned last week. Bottom line. And it's a team that we've talked a lot about here this season. We've several weeks we've had a BYU prediction. Jake Retzlaff is the star of the show for them. I'm impressed with their secondary. Their secondary's got 17 picks on the year, so they do a really, really good job of forcing turnovers. But this comes down to me, Arizona State. Kenny Dillingham is an offensive-minded coach. He does a great job with that offense. They've got a lethal 1-2-3 combo. Their quarterback, Sam Levitt, is a freshman. Transfer from Michigan State, 17 touchdowns, 4 picks on the year. This guy is just really, really impressive. And then his big-time receiver, Jordan Tyson, 58 grabs, 800 yards, 9 touchdowns. He is a true number 1 receiver. And then the star of the show, if you've not watched number 4 for the Sun Devils, you need to. Cam Skattebo, however you say it. Skattebo. I've heard a couple of different ways, but if you have not watched this guy is such a fun running back to watch. Nate, that 1-2-3 punch is lethal. Like I said, I just don't trust BYU right now. I'm going with the Sun Devils on Saturday, and they put themselves right in the Big 12 championship hunt.
Yeah, Brad, this one's really tough for me. I mean, and I say that sometimes, but I truly mean it this time because we've seen great play from both of these teams. And I understand BYU had a letdown last week, and now they've got a chance to bounce back on the road. And this is going to be an interesting matchup because Arizona State, a lot of pressure on them. This is prime time. All eyes are on them in this game. They know that if they win this game, they've got a shot to be in the Big 12 championship, which could potentially put them in the playoff and get a first round bye. I mean, that's massive. And I don't think Arizona State is used to that pressure. Now, Kenny Dillingham might be coming from a very good program prior to his head coaching stint here at Arizona State. And I think that's going to be the difference. You mentioned Cam Scataboo. I like calling him Cam Scataboo. I'm going to stick with that because it just sounds cool. And I believe that's how he actually pronounces it. And I hate when guys on ESPN pronounce it Scatabo. It's just like, come on. But nonetheless, he's been the difference in this one. Over 1,000 yards rushing, 7 touchdowns. And, we've seen Sam Levitt get hurt a little bit here and there. They've had to bring in backup, and I'm drawing a blank.
Jeff Sims.
Jeff Sims, thank you. Former quarterback from Georgia Tech who is very erratic in his play, been not consistent at all, just as much as he's been consistent with each team every year that he's transferred to. And then on the other side, BYU, they've got a special bond. And you mentioned quarterback Jake Retzloff. We mentioned them a couple weeks ago. Shout out to Rooster, too, by the way. Rooster predicted a couple weeks ago that at some point BYU was going to lose. Now, he projected them to lose 2 weeks ago. Then they end up losing last week. But either way, I got to give him credit because he saw it coming. I didn't see it coming. I thought they were not necessarily indestructible, but no one expected them to lose the way they did this past week. And nonetheless, they've got a chance to bounce back. You look at a running back like LJ Martin for the BYU Cougars, who's rushed for over 500 yards and 7 touchdowns as well. He's been a difference maker. He's really given Jake the ability to set up that play action pass. I don't want to say that BYU is fraudulent. I know Rooster has mentioned that they're fraudulent, but I have to think that Arizona State just gets the edge in this one. It's going to be hot. It's going to be, it's always hot in Tempe. But I don't know. Arizona State's got something cooking. They're heating up, no pun intended, maybe pun intended. But I think if this game was at BYU, we'd be looking at a completely flipped spread. I think BYU would probably be favored by 3. And I think that home field advantage would really play a role in this matchup. But for Saturday's game, I'm going to take the Arizona State Sun Devils as well. I know Vegas might be playing with our emotions a little bit with the 3-point spread at home, but I just got to think that Kenny Dillingham, he's going to have his team ready. They're locked in. They know how big of a game this is. They're going to be nervous. There's going to be some flutters, but I think in the end they edge out, and I think they end up winning this one in a close one. Give me Arizona State by 5. Come Saturday afternoon at 3:30 in Tempe, Arizona. Let us know down in the comments who you think comes out in this key big-time Big 12 matchup. We'll see you next week. Be sure to subscribe, give this video a like, and share it with your friends. Comment down below for the games and let us know who you think is going to come out on top. We'll see you next week. It's time to break the huddle.